Welcome to this video. Humanity's forgotten return to Africa revealed in DNA. New Scientist, 3rd of February 2014. This is one of the images, and this is part of this same image. I split it up to make it more visible. I would call it humanity's not recognized arrival in Africa revealed in DNA. So, in this article from 2014, that is very important, and that we should try to understand why these scientists put it this way. Because if they put it the way I just told, they wouldn't get this article through. Their reputation most probably would be damaged. So that's why they put things this way. Humanity's forgotten return to Africa, but they don't show any proof of return because there is no return, but they cannot say it that way. So they give the impression it's about haplogroup A, which is the origin. You have Adam here, A00, haplogroup A, which is the Adam of all modern human beings, according to consensus. And this Adam gave rise to the Khoisan or San People or Khoisan Tribes, uh, Southern Africa. So they live here with roughly 100,000. Only 50,000 have haplogroup A. So Adam gave rise to 50,000 Koisan people haplogroup A, which is not in line with an ancestor of all humans. They live withdrawn in Africa in deserts. The ancestors should thrive in, at least in sub-Saharan Africa, in Africa, and in the world. But the reality is haplogroup A lives withdrawn from the world in deserts in more or less in South Africa. So these scientists try to incorporate themselves in consensus. Consensus is out of Africa. It says here it's out of Africa 65,000 years ago. 50, 65. Well, here they claim 65. And strangely, out of Africa 65, and they arrived 60,000 years ago and 40,000 here. Here, that is understandable. But if you come out of Africa 65,000 years ago, then how would you arrive 60,000? Yeah, okay, that's right. And then the strange thing happened. They put it here, but there's no evidence that they come from here. But that's what they will claim to get themselves in consensus out of Africa. So they more or less give the impression that they were here and then they came back to Africa 3,000 years ago, and then they came or influenced the Khoisan tribes 900 to 1,800 years ago, which is before the Europeans arrived and had their influence. That's what consensus claims, at least. So this back to Africa is even stranger than this from Ethiopia to to where they actually are. So this is what bothers most, but this bothers as well. It's paradigmatic, and paradigmatic is a nice way to say it's impossible. That's according to us, uh, origin for existence. So in the article, not so isolated, Khoisan tribes have European DNA. Well, this will be food for non-scientific or scientific but not correct interpretations. So back, because maybe you lost track, humanity's forgotten return to Africa. And we say humanity's not recognized arrival in Africa. And okay, call it, this is the article, 2014, but you probably never heard of this article. And that's typical. Even if they try to fit it in consensus, you probably didn't hear about this article. Okay. Call it humanity's unexpected U-turn. U-turn pointing to back to Africa. U-turn. Went out somehow and they supposedly turned back. I call it rewritten. It's the reality. They arrived 3,000 years ago. And they are yet again influenced 900 to 1,800 years ago. So, a consensus article. One of the biggest events in the history of a species is the exodus out of Africa some 65,000 years ago, the start of Homo sapiens' long march across the world. Rightfully said so, but it's too long. It's not realistic. Okay. And there's evidence that it's not possible. There's genetic evidence this long march across the world did not happen. Genetic evidence. Several genetic evidence, but this video is too short to work that out. So I got a little bit confused because out of Africa is 65,000 and there's some evidence they were already in Eurasia, and it's pointing quite far. It's pointing more or less to Pakistan. There's evidence, and in fact, there's evidence that they were in Australia so many thousand years ago. And most of the time, at least until recently, out of Africa was said to have occurred 50,000 years ago. How can you go out of Africa 50,000 years ago and be deep into Asia and in Australia and in Oceania 60,000 years ago? That's what I was pointing at, but I confused with what's written here. Like it's written here, it is possible. It looks possible, but of course it's not possible. You cannot come out of Africa and be evolved to have evolved to Eurasians and arrive as deep as the sub-Indian continent, Pakistan, India, Australia, Oceania. That's impossible. That's impossible. But okay, the way they put it here, it's possible. Out of Africa. So if you look superficially, 65,000 years ago, okay, they took 5,000 years to arrive here and in Australia and etc. No problem at all. At least for consensus, there is no problem at all. And there's much more problems than this. The problems lie in Neanderthal DNA. How can Neanderthal DNA get here when you come out of Africa without Neanderthal DNA? There's many problems, many paradigms, many things that make it improbable, and improbable is a nice way to say it's impossible. Okay, so one of the biggest events in history, 65,000 years ago. So right now, we will claim what really happens is out of Americas, Austronesian expansion and arriving, arriving. And Khoisan people possibly are really an extension of Austronesian expansion, but they also could come the other way. I'll show you very quickly. This is the Austronesian expansion. Okay, so they could have arrived here, they could have arrived here, and they could have arrived here, and of course in Australia, because it's one of the first things to be reached. Oceania is even earlier. So it's the Khoisan are or out of Americas, Austronesian expansion this way, or they came and arrived directly this way. Why this should happen, that's for other videos.